So again, my name is Jacqueline Casagno. I am the chair of the Education Committee, and with the help of the other committees, we put together this event. So thank you all for being here, and we are going to start. So our program for you, which we put together for you, is simple and quick, and we're going to adhere to timing. We have a panel discussion, and it's about, it's focused on educating our members, nurses, community members with regards to the interim ad, and everybody knows about it. It happened more than 6 months ago, but no panel discussion was done about it. So it is a good opportunity for people to ask questions and have your questions answered by people as such as our panelists. So we are going to start with the panel discussion. Now, each one of you had given key points. First, you're going to be introducing yourself. We have 2 minutes to, because again, time is precious. After that, each one of you introduce yourself, then go around again. Each one would be speaking about how you addressed, what did you do about the interim ad, and what you do. Because we have people from the media, we have people, politician here, one politician, 2 nurses, right, which really affected nurses, Diane Lucas, the Assistant General, and John Luke. Actually, you guys will switch. John Luke's first. Rodrigo, oh, okay, that's fine. John Luke's and then Rodriguez. Okay, so if you go outside, if you didn't, I'm not going to tell you to go outside right now, but we have a program that was put together, and we have biographies on these people just in case, as you see, some people are not here yet. They will have a chance to read about you guys, even though they would not get to hear about you talking about yourself, okay? Okay, so 2 minutes to introduce yourself, 3 minutes to share your experience about the interim ad, and educate us about employment discrimination. So I'm going to start. Timer on. I want to start with Dr. Bouville.
You would?
Yeah. You up?
This is not part of the 2 minutes. When you are Bouville, really? You start with me. When I was in school, since I was a child, that was always a problem. Because my name started with B. So that means I had to make the effort, definitely, to make sure that I am prepared. But today, I think for the Nurses Week, okay, I don't think there is a preparation per se that I need to have, since I've been dealing with nurses for quite some time now. And I think for the past, how many years, 20-something years, I'm always working with nurses, making me part of the group. When I did my master's, this was a project. I am not a nurse, but I still actually worked on nursing shortage, which for me, in one of the institutions that I work, was an issue. So today, if I have to repeat Ms. Cipriano, who is the 35th president of the American Nurses Association, we know that nurses basically is at the forefront or front line of everything 24/7, in home care, hospital, and everywhere. So today is a pleasure to be here. Simply to tell you that my name is Victor Bouville, and I've been working in this community for quite some time, working in media, and I started in the community with one of the programs that definitely that really make me accustomed and get to the community. So it's a pleasure to be with you today, to be part of the panel, and I thank you so very much for inviting me, and I hope that we're going to have a good time, and welcome to all the members.
Okay, Senator Colucci.
So just an intro?
Intro.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. I'm Senator David Carlucci. It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be here and have the opportunity to serve many of you in the New York State Senate. And being that it's Nurse Appreciation Week, I think it's very fitting that we're having this extremely important event today. And I want to thank the Haitian American Nurses Association of Rockland for being that united voice for nurses and for all Haitian Americans in our community, but beyond. With the issue that we're going to talk about, if it weren't for the Haitian American Nurses Association, we wouldn't be able to bring, I think, the justice that's deserved. So I thank all of you for being vigilant in making sure that we're tackling the issues of the day. And look forward to talking more about that. While I'm just saying who I am, our office is at 20 South Main Street in New City, and that office belongs to all of you to use as a resource. If you ever have a problem or a question, you don't know who to call, please give me a call anytime. So, thank you.
Maria Elena Polite, you're next.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Marie Hippolyte, and I am a nurse. And I want to say Happy Nurses Week to all the nurses that are out in the audience. You know, we do a tremendous job with taking care of patients at their lowest point in their lives, and sometimes their highest points in their life, like giving birth. So we see all gamuts of life. So it's time that that we are recognized, and so I am happy that this is Nurses Week. I am a nurse, like I said. My background is maternal and child health and administration. I am currently the Associate Director for now I forgot my title. I have so many of it. But I'm currently the Associate Director for Queens Hospital Nursing Patient Care Services, specifically dealing with management or anything that comes that's new into the hospital. In terms of what I do outside of here, I am the president of the Haitian American Nurses Association of Greater New York. And we are pleased to be here with our sister chapter, Rockland, which is also in the state of New York. I have a few of my members that are here, and I'd like to recognize them if I can. Madam Vice President, Marie-Claire Joseph, Madam Treasurer, Solange Piard, Chair of Fundraising, Mingwo Shaw, Chair of Hospitality, Danes Odige, and one of our members, Monique Etienne. So we just want to say thank you for inviting us to be part of this, and we will talk about specifically yes, time's up. Specifically the topic. Thank you.
Okay, President Lewa.
Okay, welcome again. The remote, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm excited to be here with you guys and celebrating Nurses Week. I've been a nurse for quite some time, almost 23 years, and it's a challenge every day. So we take it one day at a time, and to deliver the health care that we need our community. Meaning to say that education and everything that's come in nursing. So we see, like Madame Hippolyte said, that we have them from giving birth, happy time and sad time. But we're focusing on the outcome of delivering the care safely. Thank you again.
Mrs. Diane Lucas.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Diane Lucas. I'm an Assistant Attorney General in the New York State Attorney General's Office in the Civil Rights Bureau. It's a very long title. I bring greetings on behalf of the Attorney General, Eric Schneiderman. I want to thank the Haitian American Nurses Association for inviting us to be here today. So in the Civil Rights Bureau, our job is to protect New Yorkers from discrimination on the basis of any protected status in federal, state, and local law. So that could be discrimination based on your race, your national origin or immigration status, your color, your sexual orientation, your marital status, source of income and paying for rent. So it really truly runs the gamut. And these types of events are really important for us because we want to go out into the community and to learn about what's happening so that we can address them. So again, very happy to be here, and I'll talk more about our investigation against interim healthcare.
Mr. Jungle?
Good evening, my name is John Christopher Jr. I'm an attorney with the Derrick Smith Law Group in New York City. We practice 100% plaintiff's employment law up and down the East Coast, specifically in New York, Pennsylvania, DC, Maryland, and New Jersey. Let's say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, and I appreciate the gesture in inviting us to today's event. Nurses are definitely an integral part of society, and this issue that brings us today actually is, if I may say this during my opening remarks, is rather shocking considering the year in which we now live, and say that I was at first in disbelief, actually, until Ms. Rodriguez directed me to talk to some of the members, actually read the information, and here we are today. So I'm proud to be here, and hopefully we can come to some sort of resolution on next steps regarding the interim ad. Thank you.
Mrs. Margalit Rodriguez?
Last but not least, my name is Margaret Rodriguez, but most people know me as Maggie. I am an attorney, and I've been a lawyer for the past, not to give my age, let's say for the past 12 years.
25 years. Don't show it.
And I am Haitian, and I am proud daughter of nurses and other healthcare professionals. Better yet, I never realized the importance of nurses until I was in the hospital for 2 months, and I saw what you guys do. And let me just tell you, you guys you really rock. You really, really, really rock. So I am, as a lawyer, I am a fighter. I would like to say that I'm a fighter more than a lawyer. So discrimination is my backbone. I've been doing it obviously since I was about 12 years old. And I'm still doing it. And guess what? After seeing this ad, looks like I'm going to be in business for a long, long time. If in 2016 we're looking at that ad, God knows what's coming up. Not to bring politics into this, God knows what's going to happen during this election year.
Thank you everyone for introducing yourself and keeping on time, right? We're all on time, so we're going to try this again now. Now, you're all going to talk about how did you address the interim ad? Share your experience about what you did and how you could increase awareness of what to do in case people are put in this type of situations again. So we have 3 minutes, and it will be time again. And we will be opening the floor to questions and answers. So if you do have more things to say, you will get to say them again. It's just that this portion, we want to keep it 3 minutes, okay? So Dr. DeVille, you're up again.
You know, now I understand why when the politicians they have 2 minutes for review and then they just bombard the room because they don't have time really. That was very fast, that first 2 minutes. Okay, but anyway, let me just start that by saying that most of the time we always remember one thing. Where were we? Where was I when I heard about that ad? That's only the question that most of the time we ask ourselves when we have to answer questions. I remember that I was working in the city, and then I get a coworker that told me that he received from Facebook, not really just the text, And you know, with social media now, it's very, very crazy. When something is on Facebook, that means the world is aware of it. So, you know that discrimination is something, not only when we look at discrimination, we look at race. And I don't have to tell you that I am not, basically, I probably one of the person that can tell you that discrimination is something that I will face all the time because of race. Is it true? Probably not. Secondly, we know that ethnic diversity is one thing that can also make us basically face discrimination. Gender, and also we're talking about disability. Thank God for the American Disability Act that take care of that in 1992. I'm sure that Attorney Lucas would talk more about that in terms of discrimination, but I know for a fact that it's a problem when it comes to health. As a public health epidemiologist, I know that discrimination has a lot to do with, first of all, cardiovascular system that can be affected, and as a professor of human body, I know that everything is intertwined when it comes to care. Cardiovascular, endocrine system, your immune system, so on and so forth. So that ad, when it comes, the first thing that I had in mind is to see, not only that I would address it, but how I could basically work with any group that is affected to see how can we address that issue of discrimination based on what we had in the ad and what's going to be done. And the days after that, we started to work in the community. We go to the media. I invited you guys on my television program to discuss the issue. To be fair, I tried to invite interim. Unfortunately, they did not really come to the show because they had to organize themselves, but it was not done. But because I wanted to be fair. But definitely, I think it's a long conversation. It's not going to stop today. We have a lot to talk about discrimination. And definitely, I'm not going to read Time's Up. But
Well, thank you. First, I want to acknowledge Assemblywoman Ellen Jaffe, who's my partner in the State Assembly. And so, as soon as I saw this ad and was made aware of it, it was the weekend. It was Saturday, and it was just shocking, right, and disturbing. And thank goodness for social media. You know, this is an example of where we could spread this like wildfire, and that's important to make sure that this situation and what happened is out there. And that was really what is important about this. We wanted to keep the pressure on. So the first thing that I did was reach out to our Attorney General, Eric Schneiderman, and thankfully he took it on right away and took it seriously and opened up an investigation and put his amazing team on the case. And we're lucky that Ms. Lucas is here today, so thank you. And after that, we had contacted Interim Healthcare. They had contacted us. Myself, Assemblywoman Jaffe, Assemblywoman Zabrowski, we met with them to talk about what was going on and what we expected from them. And so it was an interesting conversation. This is a couple weeks later after the initial situation. And what was important, and as the Assistant Attorney General will talk more in detail about, is not just the fine that was levied, but the importance of reorganizing your administration to make sure that you have policies in place that are going to prevent something like this from ever happening again. To show and to say that this was just a mistake, okay, but it's disturbing that it would get in that process, in that queue, to go to publication anyway. So that's what's so important. So not only did the Attorney General's office follow through and hit interim with a heavy fine, but more importantly, make sure that they restructure and have these policies in place, have a new check in that system. And I think that's important in the lesson that we want to make sure is being done, that corporations, that employers are following the appropriate standards. And when there is a problem, that we report it immediately. And so I would say that my office is always open to that. If you have a question, you're not sure, give me a call. I know Assemblywoman Ellen Jaffe, the same thing. And we're fortunate our county executive, Ed Day, I see is here now joining us, so thank you for being with us. So that's what I would suggest going forward in terms of that. When you have a question, let's reach out, get the Attorney General's office involved to find out what's going on, what are actions that we can take. So with that, again, I want to thank everyone for being here, and look forward to working with all of you in the future. Thank you.
I believe your question was, what was the reaction when we found out about it? Okay. Initially, when I found out about it, it was through Facebook. And the second thing I did was to call President Leroy, and I said, did you see this? And she said, yes. The third thing I did was to pick up the phone and call my assemblywoman. And ironically, as I'm getting ready to find her number to call her, she was calling me. She said, did you see this? I said, are we talking about the same thing? And she said, yes. And she said, what are you guys doing about it? I said, well, I'm going to speak to President Leroy and find out what we're going to do. But I know definitely we're going to answer and we will respond. So at that point, Councilman Eugene called me. And he said, what are you guys doing? And I said, oh, well, we're rounding up. And he said, I want to hold a press conference on the steps of City Hall. And I said, okay. I then contacted Miami chapter, and all the presidents had a conference call where we decided as a group, because there are 8 chapters of the Haitian American Nurses Association. 7 of those chapters were present on the call. And we decided to say that we will stand as a group. The public can react as they want to react, but we want as a group to send out a message. So we did publish a response to what happened. We went to City Hall, the steps of City Hall. We were supported by so many groups. It was, tremendous. 1199, NYSNA, some of the executives from NYSNA, DC 37, a lot of the assembly people, a lot of the council people, they came out. So we had a press conference on the steps of City Hall. Okay. So at first I was a little bit angry because again, everybody has said the same thing on the panel, that in 2016, you don't expect that. But one of the things that always comes to my mind is that somebody dropped the ball somewhere. I mean, from interim to penny saver, because interim put it out there, all right? It's their ad. But penny saver, who's publishing it, did they have an editor? Did they have somebody to go over it and say, oh, we can't put this. This is illegal. We can't blatantly put that out there. We know prejudice exists, and a lot of us have confronted prejudice in some way or another. Whether you are white or black, you have met with prejudice. But to blatantly put it out there, to me, it just shows that you need to be dealt with. And we are happy that the Attorney General's office, through many people filing charges that, saying that we want this to be investigated, found them guilty, and they were fined. My time is up, so.
We're having our monthly meeting, and someone brought it up that Sabrina just had something on Facebook that there was an ad, no female nurse from Haberstrom, and the ad was from Penny Saver. They were looking to hire, and we said, okay, we have to mobilize. And they had a meeting on Monday, so we attended the meeting.
And after the meeting, we were contacted by Monsieur Gérard Cadet and Madame Hippolyte that we will have further information on how to proceed. We met, like she said, with all the 7 presidents of HANA. We on a conference call and decided as a group that we will take steps and to investigate and bring light to the subject. So we will continue. This is one of the many that will come at this platform to ask questions and educate the community.
We're going to say upfront, it's been very challenging to talk about this in 3 minutes.
Yes.
I'll try my very, very best.
But you get more time to talk
Okay.
about it.
Yeah. So our office first learned about this advertisement after we were told by several elected officials, as Senator Carlucci said, members of the Asian American Nurses Association, Ms. Rodriguez contacted us. It was a Sunday when I learned about it, and I drafted a letter the next day to Interim Healthcare. And this is a letter stating that we were investigating their policy and practices, and that we believe that they were discriminating against Haitian Americans based on their national origin. We asked for all of their policy and procedures relating to their equal employment opportunity practices. We asked for all their policies related to advertisements, what went wrong here. And then we asked, what went wrong here? Right? Send us every document related to what happened here. And when you find out what happened, you realize that this is actually pretty common, particularly in the healthcare industry. So what happened here, to make sure we're all on the same page, a patient's family contacted Interim Healthcare Greater New York and said, we don't want a Haitian nurse. Bring us anybody but a Haitian nurse. And so this was communicated to interim healthcare worker. Now, interim healthcare, they stated their whole spiel like, oh, well, you know, we can't do that. But the error was in them still submitting that request. No checks. No checks there. And like I said, this is something that happens in the healthcare industry. We actually have another case against a nursing home for something similar. And we knew right then and there that interim healthcare had a big problem. And so after our investigation, after looking through every advertisement that they published, or they had published in, not the one going to sign. Okay, so did the investigation, found that their policies were insufficient to prevent something like this from happening. So there's a $100,000 fine that we instituted. We're monitoring them for the next 3 years to make sure that all the new policies they put in place are actually going to be implemented in the way that they're supposed to. There's training. And something that I think is one of the key pieces of this settlement agreement is that they have to notify every patient and the patient's family about the policy up front. We don't discriminate. If that's what you want to do in your own time, fine, but we are not going to let that happen. And to actually protect the nurses that work in interim healthcare affirmatively as opposed to just reacting when it happens. And another thing I want to say in terms of what we can do in the future, discrimination is not always, as obvious as notations in an ad. This happens all the time, as I'm sure everyone on this panel can attest to. I'll talk about the rest later.
Next, John Doe.
See, it's unfair being next to last, because everything else is so original. Now I'm just going to repeat a lot of what's been said already, but the way I found about the interim ad was I was at a panel with Ms. Rodriguez, something totally unrelated. She mentioned coyly that she had this issue with the Haitian Nurses Association of Rockland County. And finally, a couple weeks later, she finally let it out what it was. And like I said earlier, quite frankly, I didn't believe it because I do this every day. We get phone calls from people all the time about discrimination, and then we find out it doesn't exist. So then when you get something like this, which is blatantly intentional, it's very eye-opening. The fact that it was put in the newspaper ad, and now I'm seeing that so many different people saw it. It was on Facebook, and it just like spread like wildfire. It is just very discouraging. As Ms. Lucas said, typically a lot of discrimination cases are he said, she said. This is what we call like the magic bullet kind of case. It's just sitting there. There's really nothing you can say to make it go away. It's right in their face. So how I was contacted, again, through Ms. Rodriguez, and I've talked to, I guess, several of the presidents of the various chapters of the Haitian Nurses Association, and I guess the next step, I guess, is to see if there's any sort of private right of action, some sort of litigation that they can pursue as a group to make sure, I mean, listen, we can't, this won't end, you know, someone else will do it down the line. I guess we'll make sure that this company doesn't do it again, right? So that's where I come in on this situation. And again, I don't know, this is just a very disturbing situation. It's like a history book, like back in the 50s, like no blacks allowed kind of thing. It's like, I never thought I would see that, you know, so here we are, and the next step is just to, you know, publicly shame them, even more so than already has been done by Ms. Lucas' office, so thank you.
What did I do? I was watching television, then on a Saturday, and then 3 members of the Haitian American Lawyer Association said, Maggie, did you see this? I'm like, did I see what? And they texted it to me. I'm like, guys, come on, this is a joke. Although I have been doing hearings for discrimination for the past 22 years, I've heard it all, but I've never seen it in writing. Some people, when they come to me, when I am adjudicating a case, I can tell that they could be prejudiced, but never as big as this. So I was like, no, guys, this is a joke. Maybe it'll go away. The next thing is I go to Facebook, and I've had my, you know, that red message. It says 100 and some odd, and I'm like, no, somebody's playing a joke. It was not a joke. So the next thing is the president of the Haitian American Bar Association said, Maggie, go for it. Like I said, I have been doing investigation of discrimination for the past 25 years. And I'm like, wait a minute, no Haitians, females need to be applied? No. We're not going there. I then called Gerard Cadet, who's the vice president of 1199. I said, Gerard, you got me. Let's get a meeting on right now. So we had a meeting like within a day, within 2 days. Within 2 days, Manhattan. And I'm like, okay, let's get the AG's office. And I called the AG's office, Diane Lucas, and we spoke. And I am living, and I'm still living. And I am not done. And I wish everyone was here, and I wish Penny Simmons was here. I'm not done. And Haitian female nurses are not done. This is just the beginning. The fight is still on.
Thank you for sharing your address with this interim ad. I know it's difficult for you guys to only stick to the 3 minutes, but we are going to. First, I just want to do one thing, because this was a collaborative effort to address this ad. And we did a press conference with Dr. Colucci. Dr. Colucci, you're going to be a doctor one day. Senator Colucci, but you know, different groups do different things. And I just want to thank you all for being here, and thank some of the people that are in the audience that are our special guests. First, I would like to thank Sabrina Charles Pierre was the first one that posted the entry ad. So thank you. You started this. You started this, Sabrina. So thank you. But then people did what they did and addressed it. I want to acknowledge County Executive Ed Day. Thank you for being here. I know you stood and said something. You did something. Yeah. And I want to thank you, Assemblywoman Helen Jaffe. Again, we want you to know that we know. We know that you did something. You didn't just sit back and let it happen. And you care about your constituents. Okay, I just, before questions, we're going to start questions. I just want to acknowledge also Rachel Dickerson and Linda Fintermaker. Okay, they are from the New York State Division of Human Rights, and they are here to share information. So we have a lot of pamphlets out there, and after this program is over, I asked everyone to stick around to answer more questions. So thank you for being here. Okay, we are going to start with the questions. Please be clear with your question and ask who you want to answer the question, and if you as the panelist would like to answer the question, just wait for the next person, of course. Okay, so I'm going to ask Vivian to come. Anybody has questions, please raise your hand. We're going to go one by one. Okay.
My question is for Diane Lucas, and I was very happy to see the outcome from the Attorney General's office. However, the $100,000 fine I thought was extremely low, considering the fact that when a company has insurance, they have a deductible, and that deductible would have covered the $100,000. So I really didn't feel that the company was adequately fined. Can you please speak a little about how you come to that amount for the fine?
Normally how our office calculates these fines / penalties is we look and see what remedies you can get under the law. And here, it's harder to calculate because we don't know how many people were discouraged from applying. We don't know how many people that add, which we thought, okay, well, that means that the fine should be astronomical, right? Because we have no idea. It could be $1 million in remedies because 1,000 people were discouraged from applying when they saw an advertisement that said you cannot apply because of your national origin. So we definitely wanted to be as aggressive as possible. But I think something that's really important to note here is that this investigation, the settlement agreement, was against Interim Healthcare of Greater New York, which is a smaller part of the larger franchise. And so they don't have the assets that the larger franchise has. So that was the challenge, to just be transparent. And we negotiated with them, and we were very aggressive in our negotiations. And at the end, we were satisfied with that amount, with all things considered, right? But I agree with you. I think we wanted the amount of the penalty to also be a statement, to be a discouraging statement. But another thing I want to note is the other things that we requested cost a lot of money. So the training programs that they're mandated to do, changing all their policies, and just generally being monitored by us for 3 years, it's going to be costly. They hired a new person to handle their HR, and they did their own internal review as well as the review that we did. So I am not excusing them in any way, shape, or form for not paying more, but in light of all the expenses they had to actually implement all the changes that we have in the settlement agreement, in addition to the $100,000, we were eventually satisfied with that.
Just one, Marie Hippolyte would like to share something with regards to that
What I'd
question.
like to share is that, what you just said, Ms. Lucas, is that in light of none of these other people came out, I can tell you that the Haitian community, myself, President Leroy, and Maggie Rodriguez, we went through churches, we went on TV trying to get people to come out and say they were discriminated against, whether it be that they did not get a job, whether it be that there was a language issue, but no one came. No one, again, you know, I'm not putting blame on anybody, but you know, people are afraid. They don't want to lose their jobs, their livelihood. They have families to take care of. So that was also a setback for the amount, because we could not prove that, you know, there were people being discriminated against. $100,000, I know it's a dime in the bucket, but it sends a clear message of guilt.
If I could just add to that, you know, I think one of the problems, as was said, is that when asking people to come forward if they've been discriminated against, many people have no idea that they've been discriminated against. What happened in this case is that it was black and white. It made it to print. I mean, there's probably so many other cases where, at best, we have hearsay, or at best, the nurse never sees that internal memo. And that's what's so disturbing here, is that a company would take that information down and even consider it. That no Haitian is somehow acceptable to even get into your notes, into your software program. And that's very unfortunate, and that's why I think the most important part, what the Attorney General's office did, was to say that their policy has to be proactive and really notify and let every client know that discrimination on who they're going to send as a nurse is not even negotiable. And if so, they're terminating the relationship immediately. And that's something that I think we need to be proactive on in New York State and around the country, is to make sure that clients know this is not acceptable. And that's one of the things I think is most important in this settlement, and something that we should look to replicate to see what we can do to get that as a standard when people are entering into these agreements or these contracts. Yes. Great. Thank you.
Okay, next question.
Hello, everyone. I guess Madame Hippolyte read my mind. My question is for Maggie. Due to the lack of people coming forward for the claim, how is it going to affect the work we're trying to do?
John Luke and I, we spoke about this at length, and I spoke with Diane Lucas many times about this. It is a huge problem. Yes, it will affect the case, but it's not going to stop us. And our problem is, and it may not be the only problem. One of the reasons why I think we're not getting people to come in, number one is that they don't know what discrimination is. And number two, they're afraid of retaliation. And this is where we come in. This is where the New York State Division of Human Rights comes in. Your local commission, the Rockland County Commission on Human Rights, the EEOC, the Attorney General's office comes in. We are here to educate you. And believe me, you see us coming here on a Saturday. We don't know Saturday, we don't know Sundays, we don't know Monday. We will come to you because our job is to eradicate discrimination. If that's what it takes to eradicate discrimination, we will come to you to educate you. We know, at least we think that that may be part of the reason why we did not get as many complainants as we should, because I remember one Saturday I went to a meeting with the HANA of Rockland County, and I had a lot of nurses telling me, well, wait a minute, such and such happened to me. And I'm like, that's discrimination. Did I get a follow-up phone calls after that? No. When we don't do anything about it, guess what? It continues. And it makes our work hard. I have been doing this for over 25 years, and let me just tell you, discrimination is happening. Discrimination is not dying. And I know it's out there. And I know interim is not the only one doing it. Because we have, not to mention, employers out there. At Nassau County Commission on Human Rights, one of our biggest employers, I think it is the biggest employer in Nassau County, is a healthcare company. And let me just tell you, my number one complaint that I litigate every day, that I adjudicate every day, is against them. And guess what? If you guys don't come to us, we cannot come to you. You have to, you understand one thing, there is no charge by going to your local commission, by going to your state division, by going to EOC, by going to your state senators or your local representative. You have to go to them. Do not be afraid, regardless of your immigration status, regardless of your race and color. We don't know politics. We only care about your rights being investigated. We want you guys to come because it is making our work hard. Jen and I, we spoke about this. We said, wait a minute, it's a huge challenge. How are we going to get the numbers? Marie, Hippolyte, and I, and Miguel, we talk about that every day when we go to the radio station, when we go to television. But do I get any phone calls? No. But I know it's out there because if Maggie Rodriguez, who's an attorney, who's a loudmouth, can be discriminated against, I guarantee you guys, anyone out there can be discriminated against. Okay?
Okay, Dr. Baville, you wanted to share something?
Yes, I would like to add to what Maggie said in terms of retaliation. Retaliation is one thing, but the other thing is the stigma attached to discrimination. Anything that diminishes people, sometimes they don't want to come forward to talk about it. It's not only discrimination, it's about rape. You know how many people are being raped, but they don't want the publicity about it. And I think when you look at the professionals and they know that you are an RN, you may have a PhD, you have a master, and you hear that you're being discriminated. It's a tough thing. Sometimes people don't want that. You don't want your friend to know that you're being discriminated. And I think this is the type of education that we want to continue in the community to make sure that people understand that whoever you are, it will happen and it will continue to happen. The point is we have a responsibility to educate the people and make sure that we continue ourselves on our education because that's the best way that we can really knock it out.
Thank you. I just want to add, Dr. Baville said it well, this is education for all. This is a call to action for all. If you realize right now you've been discriminated against, then do something about it. Talk to these people. They have the resources to help you.
And I just want to add, so we don't need to have individual complainants in my office. That's why we were able to do this case. And so even if you weren't personally discriminated against, but you know there's an issue happening at a company, even if you don't really know what's going on, you just have a vague awareness that there's discrimination, that's something you could flag for us and we will do the investigation and we will see if there's a practice and pattern of discrimination and pursue it as well.
And let me just add something to retaliation, which is extremely, extremely important. One of the things that can bring your case from a no probable cause to a probable cause is retaliation. I have had most of probable cause decision. Probable cause meaning that you were right, and no probable cause meaning that we didn't find that you were right. One of the things that we as law enforcement hold dearly is our stand on no retaliation will not be tolerated. Because the spirit of the law is that if you are afraid to come forward, then the law means nothing. So the Supreme Court has made it clear, which is the law of the land, retaliation will not be tolerated. If for any reason you file any complaint and you believe that you're being retaliated against, that brings your case up, John Luke will tell you, from a $500,000 case to $1 million case. Because retaliation will never be tolerated under the law. And that's important. Keep that in mind. Even if whatever they're doing to you that may be different from what they were doing before prior to you filing the case, we have the State Division of Human Rights, they'll tell you. Retaliation, ching ching.
Okay, we'll take the next question. We have a question.
Question myself. I don't know, probably for the nurses or whoever wants to answer. I feel like irreversible damages have been done to tarnish the image of the Haitian nurse. So now how can we repair that? Because now we have young people who are of Haitian background or Haitian background who say, well, they are discriminated, they will discriminate against us. So what can we do to repair this? That's my question. I don't know whether you guys can answer this or even, I know we're educating the public, but how can we protect the younger generation of Haitian background to go into this field?
I will answer that. I think HANA is being an organization, Haitian Nurses Organization. This is one of the many of this that we will continue on educating people, go to the schools and the community. We have gone to so many churches and invite them to join, and we need more nurses also to come and do the work. So we will continue.
Anybody else want to address?
You know, one thing I would say just is, you know, it's a very difficult question that's posed. I would say that you need to just keep doing what you're doing. Because I would argue that I think people know and are beginning to understand that Haitian American nurses is something to be proud of, and that people feel that they're getting excellent care. You know, with Nurses Appreciation Week, it's a time that people have verbalized their appreciation for nurses, because it often goes untalked about. But it's a time that as we talk about it more, people are realizing that nursing is the backbone of the healthcare industry. It's what makes it strong. And so I would say just keep doing what you're doing, especially with HANA, to make sure that you continue to put everything you can into it, because you guys are doing an amazing job. And you never know how you're going to influence someone. You never know. But I'm sure in just the time that you've had, because you guys are all so young, the time that you've had here, you have influenced so many people to get involved in healthcare and to do other things. So, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add that, and repeat what you just said, that we have, as nurses, we are the backbone of healthcare. So, keep that. I'm a nurse. We have a question in the back.
Yes. I have a question for Ms. Lucas. I feel that the Department of Human Rights are lacking of helping people when they bring out an ad. And what I need to be, the community needs to also to know, not only you go to the human rights, but you have to hire a lawyer. Because I don't think the Department of Human Rights is very supportive, because they will take a claim, and then they will give you a phone call, and then there will be no follow-up. And they're quick to come up with, they would say, no, they don't think you were discriminated against. But it's important for people to know to also have a lawyer on hands. Because I am a nurse, I have all my training in this country, and what happened, it just a little bit. You guys don't even know what's going on. And it's not even for nurses, it's from the people who work at McDonald's. The one, the bus driver. It's every Haitian. It's not only the nurses. And I think your department should be more aware of how Haitians are being treated. Once the file is put out, I don't think your department has helped enough. I think it's quick to say, without even further investigation. Make a phone call and they speak to you, and that's acceptable. I think there's more to be done in your department, because I don't think you guys are aware of what's going on.
Yes, I'm not sure you said the Division of Human Rights, that's the Attorney General's office.
Well, the Department of PHC, the Department of Human Rights, once you file a complaint, once someone had the nerve to go and file a complaint, all they do is give you a phone call. I don't think they do a thorough follow-up if you do not have an attorney.
Okay, I think the important thing to first of all remember is that what Maggie is saying is that if you have an issue, the reason you want to come to a group like Division of Human Rights or to the Attorney General or whomever, is because then you don't have to hire an attorney, so you don't have to spend that money. So some people, that's a barrier for them. That's a barrier for them because they think if I don't have an attorney or I don't have proof myself, I won't be able to file a claim. But you don't have to do that. What Ms. Lucas is saying is if you call the Attorney General or if you come to the Division of Human Rights, you don't have to have an attorney. We do our own investigation and then we determine whether or not there's probable cause. And if it goes to settlement or hearing, then there's some remedy for you if we determine that you were discriminated against. Now that's on a case-by-case basis. I'm sorry if your particular situation you felt like you weren't, you didn't get any relief. You understand what I'm saying? But I will say that I understand what you're saying, that some people may go through EEOC because there's a statute of limitations on some of these cases, depending on which agency you go through, whereby if you have sat on your rights or you just only came to us and a certain amount of time, we're supposed to do our cases within like 180 days. I mean, they go a little longer sometimes, but basically we try to wrap everything up within that time frame. So if that really gives you enough time for a lot of cases to proceed, but with some of them, like I think the EEOC, it may be a year or some of them, and if you've gone that route and you haven't hired an attorney, then you may have just slept on your rights in terms of, your time ran out on that. So I understand what you're saying. I'm not going to say that you shouldn't hire an attorney if you really feel like you have a good case, but that shouldn't be a barrier for you coming to the Attorney General or Division of Human Rights for the state or for your county, Nassau County or whomever, because what you really need to understand is that you have to act as fast as you can. I mean, that's the thing. So a lot of people, just like what the doctor said about women getting, sexually abused or raped or sexually harassed or whatever, some people, they're unsure of what their rights are, they're unsure of if they should move on something, I'll wait, but the longer you wait, it's really not good for whatever that is.
What I'm saying is, the department is lacking of helping because this was spreading out in black and white. There was no way to judge it, to say no, maybe it was bluntly there, but your office have blindsided a lot of people that have gone to you without an attorney. And I do tell everyone, if you are going to file a complaint, you need to have an attorney. That's when your case will be heard, because I don't feel the department has, you know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying there are several different agencies that do what we do, and they have different levels of protection. Some of them they all do, employment and discrimination. Sometimes it's source of income. There's different things that will trigger a complaint with our office that may not trigger a complaint with some other offices because, as a state agency, we may provide more protection than New York City Division of Human Rights. So there's different organizations. I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, if it was a state division, I'm sorry that we weren't able to offer you relief, but I don't think that should be a barrier for anyone. And not having the money to get an attorney to actually move on your case. If you do get an attorney, I agree with you, that can help you privately, but that has no bearing on what happens with our cases, whether or not you have an attorney.
Okay, I just want to add, just before you say anything, Diane Lucas, we are so blessed at HANA that we have Rodriguez, Mrs. Rodriguez. HALA, which is Haitian American Lawyer Association, I provided their services free of charge. So there are free services out there. Clap for them. We love you here. We love you here. Just want to let you know that we do love you here at HANA, period. All the chapters. But there are free services, and again, it's all about getting those resources and talking to them, talking to people like Mrs. Rodriguez. I'm sorry that something might have happened that was not addressed. And talking about it and getting the resources will put a stop to these type of discrimination. So, Diane?
Yeah, one, apologize that you had to deal with that. And, sounds like it's very frustrating. I do want to clarify something about the way the Attorney General's office works. So we don't represent individuals, we represent the state of New York, the people in the state of New York. So we, so if you, for instance, told us about an incident of discrimination, we would definitely investigate it and try to determine if there's a pattern of practice that is happening. And we would seek out remedies that would address what happened to you, but we wouldn't be representing you as an individual. And so, but I think that's important to note because that, when you come to our office and tell us about discrimination that's happening, you are not only addressing it for yourself, but you're also helping New Yorkers throughout the
others.
state. particularly if it's, right, so we're changing policies in the whole company. And so it's a very powerful thing when you as an individual come to our office and say, I think there's something wrong here. In addition, we do refer complainants to resources like other state and city agencies, and to the pro bono bar. So we do always refer complainants to private attorneys also if that's something that they want, because a lot of people do request that as well.
I just want to say that, to be fair, the Division of Human Rights and the EEOC, they get probably thousands of complaints a month. So it's really difficult for them to, this was a black and white case. Most cases are not black and white. Most of them are he said, she said, a lot of hearsay, not a lot of proof, just a lot of emotion. It literally takes you filing your complaint with the SDHR or the EEOC years later to go through litigation, do discovery, to actually find out what happened in the case. So, you know, and if you don't have a lawyer and you do file with the State Division, frankly, the information you provide them might not be enough for them to do an actual investigation. And the same thing with EEOC, because you might just put in a bare bones complaint that you were discriminated against due to race, and not actually say who and what and when it happened. So it makes it difficult for them to take it from the beginning to the end. Now, I will say that there are a lot of attorneys across New York State who will take your case for nothing. We're one of those law firms. We don't charge for anything from beginning to end. And if your case is a good case, we'll take it. I mean, any lawyer will take your case if it's a good case. And there are a lot of places to search. AVO is a good place to go to for attorneys if you're looking for an employment lawyer. The city bar, the New York State bar, they all have referral services in Nassau County. I'm sure Rockland County has one as well. You know, so there are services for you, or whoever out there needs a lawyer who's not going to charge them. You know, and the lawyer's going to charge you for this kind of case after you've been fired. That's not the lawyer you want. Believe me, there are plenty of lawyers who will work on a contingency fee basis, who are excellent attorneys, who will take your case from beginning to end and not charge you $1.
Okay, so we have time for one more question. She had hands up. Okay, so two more questions.
Hi. I am the founder of the Haitian American Nurses Association of Rockland. And one of the reasons why HANA comes to Rockland is because of the number of Haitians who are being discriminated against. I'm also an administrator for the state of New York. And we encounter a lot of discrimination, particularly among nurses. We are the most oppressed of all healthcare disciplines. We are also the most abused, and hence the reason why there have been legislature addressing violence, particularly against nurses. With the interim case in particular, one of the questions that came up over and over again is whether or not the agency nurses were unionized. And I know that as an administrator, I deal with grievances from my employees on a regular basis for discrimination, and because of the union, they are usually handled internally. We still have some outside cases, but for the most part, they are resolved before they go on the outside. What would a union do to make a difference in this particular situation?
Okay, let me take that one. You don't have to go to the union to get your discrimination case heard. You can still file a grievance and still file a case with either the State Division or the Attorney General's office or the local commission or EEOC. Like, there is no law out there that can stop you from filing a complaint, even if you file with the union. Okay? I know there are employers out there who tells people, oh, you know what, you're gonna have to follow our internal policy. Guess what, guys? Many times, even if you follow the internal policy, you still can file it with my office, the Nassau County Commission on Human Rights, or the AG's office, or the State Division of Human Rights. So being part of a union is good, yet you're talking to the wrong person about the union. I feel seriously, when cases come to me, And if a complainant said to me, Ms. Rodriguez, well, I filed a grievance against the union, I'm like, okay, let's put that aside. Let's talk about what happened to you. Because I don't care whether or not you filed it with the union. So we know, believe me, we know there are discrimination out there against healthcare agencies. Believe me. And the AG's office, they know that, they're on top of it. The division knows about it. I know about it. Because right now, as I'm talking to you right now, there's a huge case out there that's going to come out against a huge healthcare agency. Let me just tell you, you think the interim healthcare act is huge? Wait until you hear about that one. Okay? So don't let that stop you, whether or not you are a union. Don't think you got to go to the union. The union is good for your grievance, but your discrimination, you're looking at it. The vision, the AG's office, the local commission, the EEOC, and a private attorney.
No, not one of the things that came up was that the nurses should be unionized. If these nurses were unionized, how would that have helped them? Because that came up over and over again as we marched, and various lawyers and elected officials asked, "Is there a union?"
I think what they were leading to, they want one thing about the Haitian community, and I'm from the Haitian community. We're not unified. I think when they said unionize, they said you need to be unified. Like I guarantee you, you got the regional director of Rockland County sitting right here. If I ask her how many complaints did she get from Haitian nurses, probably not that many. It's not because discrimination is not happening. It is not because she's going to turn you away. It's because we are not unified. So when they said you need to be unionized, I don't think that's what they were. I think they were leading towards you needed to be unified. One of the problems that John has when we were talking about that case, where are we going to get our numbers? When I spoke with Diane Lucas about the case, she said, Maggie, give me the numbers, and I was like, I'm working on it. We went on radio, we went on television, we went all over. Did we get our numbers? No. Are they out there? Of course they're out there.
Okay, so we have time for one more question, just one more question, and then now I've asked for all panelists to stick around if possible, so that people could ask you questions afterwards. So please.
I'm sitting here hearing all that, and I have heard that before. This is a good start, but I don't think that fine was harsh enough. And as you said, it was in black and white, and they have damaged the reputation of the nurses, Haitian nurses that have worked so hard for this. And you should have used them as an example. So I know you said not a lot of people came out and talked about it or witnessing it, but it's in black and white. They put it in writing. And also you said they have 3 years for them to do what? Put their policies together. So is there any follow-up you're going to do? How often are you going to be going there? Every 3 months? How do you know that they're really following what they're supposed to follow and they're not keep doing it? Okay, because they're not going to put an ad, but you know they're still going to do it. And I think that fine should have been much harsh. And, to use them as an example so that the other companies that are thinking about it, they can think twice before they do something like that. So I think that's for you, Ms. Lucas.
Yeah,
how do you monitor them?
Yeah, I'm personally monitoring them. This is my case. So I can personally assure you and everyone in this room and the people of the state of New York that I will be aggressively monitoring them. In fact, I was in the office Friday night reviewing some policies that they provided and made changes and sent it back to them. But to address your first point about the settlement, I already went through and explained why we came to them, and I understand your frustration. I totally understand that. I mean, this ad was disgusting, right? It was offensive. It was a facial violation of the law, meaning we didn't need a complainant. We were looking at it from our power that we have in the office, and we said the law was violated, right, by them publishing this advertisement. Now, I just want to clarify one thing. I didn't say that we felt we couldn't go forward because we didn't have complainants or only a few people came to us. It would have been better if we had individuals so we could say this is the amount of exposure you would have in a court of law because there were X number of people who said they were affected. We didn't have that. But what my argument always was, and the office's argument always was, that we don't know how many, but that could have been, it's limitless, right? So we use that argument to say that, yes, we don't know the number, but it could be so much more than what interim healthcare expects. Because interim healthcare's argument was, well, the advertisement was removed immediately, we publicly apologized the next day or 2 days later. We did a campaign and where they were on radio shows and basically tried to mitigate what happened. So their argument was, if anyone read the newspaper article or advertisement and thought that they could not apply, they would have soon realized they could apply. That's what they said. We said, no, that's not enough, right? And so we did have extensive negotiations. As I'm saying, this is my case, so I will tell you that we had extensive negotiations with them, and it was a hard-fought $100,000, and I would have liked, to be honest with you, I would have liked for it to be more, but at the end of the day, we were satisfied with that amount based on the totality of the circumstances. And really, and this is, Senator Carlucci said this earlier, what's key here and what's really, really important for not only our office, but for the community, is that we are mandating that they change their policies. And you asked this in your question, they've changed their policies. All the policies have
They have
changed.
changed it already?
Everything has been changed. Those are the policies that I'm reviewing, that I actually reviewed on Friday, and they have to implement them.
And also, one more thing, I don't want to interrupt their management, whoever's managing, the managing group and the administration. I think they should have done a whole revamp this whole area because you still have the same people with the same mentality there.
Yeah, so they terminated the former director of HR. They hired 2 new individuals. So they did change, and they actually did that immediately on their own. And that was part of the frustration, actually, because they did a lot of changes on their own because they hired a consultant to do their own review, made changes after, and so we looked into what additional remedies we could do. And so but I want to make it clear on the monitoring. So the monitoring is to make sure, so I have the agreement with me. The monitoring is to make sure that they do everything that we said in this agreement. So they do it and that they stick with it for at least the 3 years. If they don't, then we go to court of law to enforce this.
Thank you, Diane Lucas. Now we can take the
And I
next
have one more
question.
thing for the HANA organization. Maybe we should put more thing out there for the nurses or anyone in the healthcare. If anything happens, you come out, just speak out. Don't be afraid.
This is a call for action. This is a call for action. And as the chair of the Education Committee, this is one of my goals, to educate the community. We'll take the next question. This is the last question, guys. We will have the opportunity to speak to these people afterwards also. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. My name is Marlene Laforêt. I'm a nurse midwife. I think, Diane, you answered my question. We know in healthcare when something bad happens, there is an adverse outcome. We do a root cause analysis. And I wanted to know if interim healthcare did a root cause analysis, and then did they find out who dropped the ball? Because if somebody dropped the ball, what happened to the person or persons who dropped the ball? Thank you.
Yes, it's a good question. They did find out who dropped the ball. I don't want to be misquoted. They did terminate, I think, 2 people who were involved in the advertisement being published. But to answer the broader question you're asking, they looked and reviewed their policies, and independently they saw that they had gaps, right? And that's how this advertisement was placed in the first place. And then we also did, meaning the Attorney General's office, also did a review. and saw that they had gaps. So it really wasn't that hard to convince them that they needed to change their policies. The only thing that was actually difficult was the settlement negotiation in terms of the penalty. But the policies, they also saw that they had a problem.
Thank you all. I just want to thank you guys so much for being here. You have shared your experience, your knowledge, and we are very grateful. We are slightly, Jackie?
I want to apologize. I'm going to be very quick.
Very quick.
But I think it needs to be said that
Okay.
some of the people that really came out in the beginning to help Hannah, and I just,
Okay, yes,
I'm
that's
gonna be quick.
important. That's important.
okay. First, Senator Carlucci, you were in the forefront, first one to come out and help the nurses in Rockland. I want to thank Magali Rodriguez from Halani for taking on the challenge, because it was a challenge. I have also Assembly Member Rodney Bichot, Assembly Member Ellen Jaffe. I think she left already, but I want to publicly say that. Kenneth Zabrowski, Assembly Member Michael Solage, Assembly Member Kimberly Jean-Pierre, Assembly Member Daphne Campbell. Daphne Campbell, by the way, is from Florida, and she called the New York State Attorney General and said, I'm not taking this. Council Member Dr. Matthew Eugene and the Haitian American Lawyers Association, who said, Maggie, do this. The New York State Nurses Association, 1199 and DC 37, who came out with us.
One more person. My contrast with Catholics. She was one of the people who helped Valerie Catholics.
Okay, so as the audience see why we picked those people, they were key people that went out and addressed, and we had the media, the politician, nurses, right? We are nurses. I am a nurse. And we have the Assistant Attorney General, John Luke, thank you, and Mrs. Rodriguez.